Hello, Brobs. We're back with I Never Believed in Ghosts until 100 Real Life Encounters, collected by the editors of USA Weekend. An Unexpected Passenger by Judy Snyder. One fine summer evening when I was 16, I was visiting my friend Sarah, whose mother was a devout believer in spirits. It was only natural that the conversation turned in that direction. At one point, when my friend and I had gone into the kitchen to make lemonade, Sarah asked me what I believed. I told her that I really wasn't sure, and then, as if on cue, a small portable fan clicked on, seemingly of its own accord. Sarah was still standing at the sink some distance from the fan, making the lemonade. "Oh, it's just Bill," she said as she carried the pitcher to the table. "Bill, turn it off." Off went the fan. I've always prided myself on my ability to be logical, and I thought that the fan must have had some type of short in it, and that Sarah really had the timing down on her joke. I decided to let it pass as we sat down with large glasses of the tart drink. Later I asked Sarah about Bill, and I was told that he was one of the ghosts that resided in the house. It seemed, she explained, that several spirits had adopted her family. Bill was playful and evidently liked me and wanted to be introduced. I think I gave an intelligent reply such as, "Uh-huh," which surely suggested that I thought it was some sort of joke, but at my insistence Sarah began to tell me a little bit about the others who shared their home. Perhaps Bill didn't appreciate my disbelief because odd things started to happen. I had put my glass down after taking a few sips, and when I reached for it, it had been moved about 3 inches away from the spot where I'd placed it. Logic told me that Sarah could have secretly tugged on the tablecloth, thereby moving the glass, but then my glass actually slid toward me as I watched. Nothing else on the table moved. That pretty much killed my parlor trick theory. By this time, Mrs. Reynolds had joined us, and when the fans began flicking on and off again, it was she who admonished Bill, asking him whether he intended to frighten me or whether he didn't want me to like him. After that, he behaved himself, and the discussion continued until a fairly late hour. Mrs. Reynolds believed that we are surrounded by spirits all of the time, and that with a few exceptions, they are really quite helpful. As I got ready to leave, Sarah asked me to call her when I arrived home so that they would know I'd had a safe journey. I agreed. Soon I turned my Ford Gremlin toward home. Although I was still perplexed about Sarah's ghost, I put them out of my mind and concentrated on driving. I had turned on the radio and was singing along with it when I glanced into the rearview mirror. A startled sound escaped from me because there in the mirror I saw what appeared to be an American Indian. He had a strong, dark face with a hooked nose, his mouth a straight line. His hair was dark and appeared shoulder-length, and he had a band around his head. His body seemed to be wrapped in a coarse blanket. I don't remember thinking about what to do. I just acted. Swerving off the road, I jammed on the brake and shifted into park, while simultaneously throwing open my door. I half fell, half jumped, out onto the street. My one conscious thought was to put distance between myself and the uninvited passenger. As my feet hit the pavement, I was turned partially and looked into the back seat. There was no one there. Since my door was still gaping open, the interior was bathed in the courtesy light's glow. A Gremlin is a very small car, and there was no room for him to hide. There simply was no one there. Moments passed while I tried to think of a logical explanation and of what to do next. If I abandoned my car for something I'd imagined, I'd be ridiculed. I decided, however, that if he appeared again, I would definitely leave the car and walk home. I had just entered my parents' home when the phone rang. I remembered promising Sarah I would call, and wasn't surprised that she was on the other end of the line. By now I had more or less convinced myself that I had one heck of an imagination and that I shouldn't tell anyone about my apparition. But here was Sarah saying, Red Feather says he's sorry that he frightened you. I sent him to be sure you got home okay. There's no logical explanation of how Sarah could have known that I'd had a passenger. Unless, of course, she had conversed with a ghost. And my flash went off again, of course. Ghost. Couldn't have been. I was charging it for an hour, but there's that story that no one will listen to, and I don't care. Don't care.